Summer is quickly approaching, and you guys, over the past 6 weeks, the most requested video request I have gotten from you guys has been to do a sun-kissed makeup look for pale skin. I think we all know that when you have pale skin, sun-kissed is not the same as it is on, our friends who actually have melanin. Those melanin challenged amongst us, like myself, we have to kind of approach it a little bit differently. So today I'm gonna show you how to get a sun-kissed look that looks like you, but looks very seamless and kind of hard to clock. We don't wanna look like we have obvious bronzer all over the place. And I feel like the techniques I'm gonna show you in this video are gonna get you where you wanna go with a sun-kissed look. My family and I are going to the Italian Riviera in October, and I'm gonna be honest, I feel like this is probably gonna be my poolside boat kind of look. Well, at least my makeup. I don't know about the hair. That'll probably just have to go up in a bun because your girl's got some frizzy hair. But the makeup, I've got it down pat, and I'm gonna show you step by step how you can too. By the way, if this is your first time here, I'm Ashley. Hi! I love sharing videos about learning to love my pale skin and how you can too. And we also do lots of other fun things on the channel. So be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And yeah, let's start chatting about it and let's just start being about it. Or as I always say, let's dive in. All right, first thing is first, and the first thing is always skin prep. So I'm throwing on a little bit of the Laneige Berry lip treatment. This is just gonna make sure that my lips are nice and soft by the time we get to lip liner, lip gloss. So for a lot of pale skin people, and I know a lot of people with sensitive skin, when we start to get heavier sun, stronger sun here in the Northern Hemisphere, the United States specifically, in the summer, your skin can kind of get a little bit sensitive to that. And I actually noticed that my skin dries out a little bit around the outer part and then maybe gets a little bit more oily in the center just when I get hot. So I like to be really specific with my skin prep. So I've been using this Merit Great Skin Instant Glow Serum for my skin prep, and I do it right before moisturizer. I've just really noticed that it makes my skin feel a little bit more plump, a little bit more hydrated, and so everything goes on a touch more smoothly, which I'm here for that. For moisturizer, my favorite summertime moisturizer is the Renee Rillo Glow Enhancing Cream. This stuff is thebomb.com. It gives a nice glow to your skin, makes it look really healthy, and it's rich, but it's not too heavy. So this works really well if you have dry skin or even like more normal skin, which my skin's pretty much normal at this point, and I still just adore this moisturizer. It is like top 3 moisturizers of all time for me. It's also a really great one if you don't like to have any like scent or anything to your moisturizer. It just smells like moisturizer. There's no like fragrance or anything in there. It's just top notch. I just love everything from Renee Rillo. Been a fan for years, going to continue to stan her. I have a new favorite mineral sunscreen primer duo. This is the Kosas Dream Beam. I am loving this. It is so comfortable, so smooth. It's a broad spectrum SPF 40, which we need. We need to block both UVA and UVB rays, and this goes so beautifully under makeup. Now, I normally, a lot of times will use a glowy primer. I like the Glow Screen from Supergoop, but I've been loving this Kosas one as a 2-in-1 sunscreen primer for when I don't want any extra glow. And the reason I don't want any extra glow is because you're gonna see we're going to be very, very specific about our glow today. So I just wanna be very careful about how much glow I put on underneath. So this is where everything kind of starts to switch up a little bit, and you're gonna maybe start to question me, but don't. Just stay with me, okay? So I'm gonna take a big fluffy brush and I'm gonna take one of my favorite cream bronzers for pale skin of all time. This is the Chanel Le Beiges, their Healthy Glow Bronzing Cream. It's a cult fave for a reason. I'm gonna take this fluffy brush. It's pretty loose, so it's not gonna go too crazy. That's why I'm kind of like really digging in there, because I wanna make sure I get enough product. And I'm gonna take this around the outer parts of my face, like kind of in like these big sweeping motions. I kind of want to get the perimeter of my face because I'm not going to contour today, and I'm not using this as a contour, but I want to add some warmth to the perimeter of the face so that we don't look unbalanced, okay? Because we're going to add in sun-kissed through here later, but we're not going to be doing it with bronzer because, let's be honest, if we did that with bronzer on pale skin, it is not going to look natural, okay? It's going to be like George Clinton. It's going to be funky, and we don't want to be funky. So get that around there, and you're going to see that that's already kind of warming up my face, which is what I want. Again, literally just doing the perimeter of my face. Don't worry about the inside because we're gonna hit that up later. And I am getting right here along the jawline and dragging down a little bit. And you can see, honestly, the great thing about this stuff and why I swear it's worth the money is because number one of these lasts me for like a year. And number two, you can use this as a base if you have like pretty good skin. I have pretty good skin. If I wanted to, I could literally just use this as my base and I wouldn't have to wear foundation, but I am gonna wear a foundation today, albeit I'm gonna wear a pretty light coverage one. So ta-da, we've got a little bit of sun-kissed action going on. And now we're gonna do even more things under our foundation. Not something I normally do, but again, just trust the process. So next up, we're gonna take the shade Chili from Say. Now this is a berry. Now, by the way, if you're darker than I am, this technique, all of this will work for you. You're just gonna have to change the colors a little bit. So we've got the blush, and the two other things we need a beauty blender, and we need our next product, which is we want some kind of glowy highlighter product. I'm using the Glow IV from Kosas. And this is in the shade Revive. It's a sheer, very light champagne. We want that out too. And we also want to have a setting spray. So I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. This is how we're gonna do this, all right? We're not doing the W, we're gonna do the high points of our cheeks, wrap it around our temple, and then we'll worry about the nose in a second. I know everybody's seen the W. That's not exactly what we're doing. We're gonna be alternating this with our highlighter. So I wanna start here on like that highest point of my cheekbone. I wanna do here, I wanna do here, and I wanna do here. Because trust me, a little bit of this stuff goes a long way. And then I'm gonna take a dab of that highlighter and I'm gonna fill it in the middle. This is just gonna help it blend out a little bit better and make sure that I'm getting the glow that I want. So we're gonna do this first pass with our sponge, and then we're gonna build up as we need to, because it's always easier to add than it is to take away. So you'll see on me, this color is a really nice like sunburn flush, which that's what we're going for here, because trust me, the only way to do sun-kissed naturally when you are pale is going to be to look like there is some little element of sunburn. If you just go in and you just try to bronze your way to looking sun-kissed, it is never ever going to look natural. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, although you probably already know that. So we're wrapping it around again, because these are, I know from experiences, places you're gonna get sunburned. And we can add again, just a little bit more. I usually do like 3. I just like to be very like methodical and build this stuff up, because I feel like if you don't, it's really easy to let it go away from you. We are going to be putting foundation over this, so it's okay if it gets away from us a little bit, but we don't want to go too crazy. So ta-da, we've got that cheek done. We're literally just going to do the same thing on the other cheek. This time, since I know about how much it took this time, I'm gonna go ahead and be a little bit more liberal with my application, because I can tell about how much it took on the other side. That's why I like kind of doing one side first all the way and then going in and doing the second one. You would think that like, oh, you're gonna need the same amount every time. It's not always the case, you know, just depending on how your skin is that day. Sometimes you do not need as much, truthfully. Make sure when we're doing this that we're gonna blend this into the hairline. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side, because I don't think I did a good enough job over there. I know what you're thinking. I look like a lobster. And yes, I do look like a lobster right now, but I will not look like a lobster for long, so don't worry. Now, up here above the temples, you can kind of pull this up, straight up and into your hairline as well. And then you're gonna have that nice, I mean, this is literally where we would expect to get sunburned. Now for your nose, just take a little bit on the sponge. Don't go directly from the applicator. And I like to just hit the bridge in the tip of the nose. Ta-da. I don't like to do that like down thing. I think it kind of, especially on fair skin, can look a little too jarring. So that's why I just like to do it right there on the bridge of the nose. Right in here, I don't want that to be too dark. And that's something that we can always touch up a little bit later if we notice that, oh, it's not as melded as we'd like. So next step is we want a light coverage foundation. So I'm gonna use one of my favorites that I've been using. This is new to me and I've just been obsessed. This is the Kjaer Weis Invisible Touch Liquid Foundation. I wear the shade F110 Whisper, which is a little more pink undertoned than normally I go with foundations, but I don't know, there's something about the shade that really makes me glow. I think Kjaer Weis may be one of the few brands that actually knows how to do a cool tone foundation that isn't like insanely pinky. Now I am gonna pick this up with a damp sponge, a barely damp sponge, and I'm just gonna start in the middle where I want the most coverage over here by, you know, like my eye where I have the most redness under my eyes, around my nose. That's where I'm gonna start because that's where I want the most product. And again, I want a pretty sheer amount of coverage. I don't want this to be even a true medium. I'm looking for like the light coverage, but maybe slightly farther from light. And you can tell, you can see on my hand, this has a pretty thin viscosity. So that's usually a pretty good sign that it's gonna be a pretty light coverage foundation. Surprisingly, not using a beauty blender, I'm using a Real Technique sponge. And I know that this pulls together very softly, so you may be thinking, oh, this takes forever. It really doesn't, because you're using very few products. It's just to sit here and show you guys the technique. It does take a little bit longer because I like to be very thorough when I'm explaining things, because the last thing I want is for someone to watch a tutorial I put out and be more confused than when they came in, which, trust me, has happened to me far too many times when I've been watching other makeup videos on YouTube. I mean, honestly, are there a lot of full face tutorials anymore? I feel like there aren't. It's kind of a little bit sad. So again, started from the middle, worked my way out because I need the least amount of coverage up over here where I already have that Chanel bronzer, that cream bronzer on the outside. So we've already got some coverage from that. So you'll see even down here, we've already kind of blended. So we're needing to use very little product to get where we want to go here. I'm gonna throw in a little bit of concealer. I'm just using NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. Throw in a little bit of that concealer, and I always like to conceal my lids. I know a lot of people are like, why do you do that? I don't know, it works best for me. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I'm just doing my under eyes and right up there. To pencil those brows in, I'm going to use Brow Cheat from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the color Taupe. I have not been using the same brow pencil at all every day or anything like that. I have so many brow pencils and I'm literally just trying to kind of like go through them all and see which ones I like and which ones I'm ready to get rid of. Because I feel like they dry out, you know, after about a year, and I've definitely had some of them more than a year. So I need to kind of scale it down. Now what I like to do is powder where I like to powder, right under kind of my eyes and anywhere that I feel like I'm a little bit more shiny than I want to be, which is pretty much just the center of the face. I also like to get along the jawline. And once I've got that, I'm gonna go in and do my eyes. After I've done my eyes, then I can kind of gauge what I want to add. So for eyes, I like to use a bronzer stick. So this is the Kintz Bronze Balm from Merit Beauty. And I'm just gonna take a little bit on the outer corner here of my eye, and a little bit more over here on the outer corner of my eye. And I'm going to mix that with another blush. I'm gonna be using, this is Rosy Posy from Nude Sticks. It's kind of similar. This was Chili. You can see it's kind of similar to Chili, but a little bit more toned down. So I just do that. And I know you're thinking that's like way too much, Ashley, just trust me. This is a trust the process look. So I just balance that in place, and you can see both of these are such light, like buildable formulas that they just blend out beautifully. And now I've got the exact kind of sun-kissed eye I want, and I feel like I've got a good kind of under base, but I still want a little bit more. So I'm gonna do the same thing I did under my makeup, that kind of double thing, but rather than using a highlighter with the Rosy Posy from Nudie Sticks, I'm gonna use that bronzer. Because again, this is a very light bronzer. And so we're able to kind of mix it in with this blush to make sure that we have the right tone that we need. We don't look like we've just bronzed our cheeks, but we're still gonna have sun-kissed. Now, if you wanted to skip the under part that we did, the part under the makeup, you can, but for me, I like doing it because it makes it last so much longer. And the reason I like using the Chili from Say underneath and the highlighter underneath is because that's going to keep my glow going. And because this is more pigmented, this is a darker pigmented shade than the Nude Sticks that we just put on the cheeks right now, it's going to add to the longevity because honestly, it's about to get real hot, you guys. I think today it's 92 degrees in the US. So yeah, if you're like me, you're starting to think about, hey, how can I make my makeup last? Now for lips. I'm gonna go in, this is from Kure Weiss. This shade is Rose. So it's just a nice mauvey pink. And that's not the lip color I'm gonna end up with, but I like to have the mauve down first because since I am cooler toned, well, I'm really kind of like pretty neutral, but I can lean a little bit cool. I have a much harder time leaning a little bit warm. So I like to put this mauvey shade down first. It's like a mauvey pink before I go in with the peach tone. So you'll see already, like, because the rest of the look is kind of sun-kissed, this already doesn't look like uber pink or anything like that. But I am gonna go in with a peachy shade, and this is my Cousin Rachel from Gucci. One of my favorite formulas for the summer because this is their brilliant finish. So it's got some sheerness to it. It's got some glow. It's got that shine. So I'm gonna add that on top. And there you see, it's kind of warmed it up, but without looking unnatural for my coloring, which is, you know, a big deal. So now popping back, I like to look at myself in natural light. We're in completely natural light. I feel more sun-kissed. I feel all over like, okay, yes, this is definitely a sun-kissed look, but there's only one issue, and that is, look here. I am obviously paler down here. So in order to help myself out with that, I'm going to take a little bit of that Chanel Le Beiges, and I'm going to get my big fluffy brush again, and I'm going to just kind of dab. So if you are doing this with like a white outfit, definitely give yourself about 20 minutes at least for this to set. And be sure to set it with a really good setting spray. You can also set it with a little bit of translucent powder. Obviously today I'm wearing this nice, beautiful fuchsia, so I'm not overly concerned about that. But again, this is one of the things I love about this product because yes, it's expensive, but there's so many uses for it. And don't worry, like that redness is just because I'm tapping myself. It will go away. So you can kind of just pull that down to just make sure that your look is like very done. And again, I'll even add some at the end if I want to. And then in the middle, again, I'm just a touch shinier than I want to be right here. So again, I'll just go in and add a little bit more powder. I used the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Finish Powder in case you were wondering. You can always, if you want a little bit of extra glow, you can go in with a nice bronzer around the outside of the face again, just to bronze it up even more. I love the Gucci bronzer. This is #1, their fairest shade. Also, I've been adoring, and I've talked about it multiple times. This is the House Labs bronzer. I wear the shade Light Level 1. This is another fantastic one. They're both so beautiful. I'm just gonna add a tiny touch to the outer parts of my face here, into my hairline, just to, again, kind of make sure everything is melded in. What I love about using this technique is because you're gonna get the longevity out of the sun-kissed, and because rather than like, you know, doing an all bronze where it's gonna look muddy, you can see everything looks very blended, but I definitely look demonstrably more sun-kissed than I did when I started. When I started, I looked pale, 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 and now I definitely look like I've been on a little bit of a vacation, and I'm kind of all here for that. I finished off the look with these gorgeous earrings from one of my favorite Puerto Rican jewelry makers. I will link her store down below. She makes some of the most beautiful jewelry, and yeah, I feel like I'm ready to hang out at any yacht party. I don't have a yacht, but only if I did. Jeff Bezos, why don't you send an invitation? We would get along famously. Have you guys heard that song? Jeffrey Bezos. So I think the main takeaways from this is if you do have more fair skin and you're looking for a sun-kissed look, you can do all kind of the trendy things that they do, the W's and all those things. Maybe just adjust them a little bit more so that they don't look so stark on you. I think I've talked about this in several videos, but an important thing to remember when you have pale skin is that you're starting from basically like a white piece of paper. So contrast is always going to be achieved much faster and with much less product and much less pigment than people who are starting with a light skin tone, tan skin tone, medium skin tone, deep. There's more contrast already for us from a lower threshold. I'm kind of really obsessed with this. I feel like I'm ready to go to the beach. I would like to go out to dinner, but I already marinated chicken for today. So I'll be eating at home, but I will be doing it in style. This look is perfect for the pool, the beach, anywhere that your pale little self wants to go and enjoy the sun with tons of SPF. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like my opinion. I want to do a roundup of my favorite sunscreens. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. I have like a running list on my phone and I feel like I really need to just organize it and share it with you guys. So let me know if you'd like to see that video next. I hope to see you in my next video. And until then, you take care of yourself. Bye.